Hello there, yarn friends. Welcome back to Yarn Over With Us, where we share about our creations with yarn and all the other yarn circle chit chat of life. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about one subject and just one thing. And it is, if we can, and it is cotton bedspreads. So grab something to drink and your favorite project and yarn over with us.
And I said, you have just made my day.
All right, so let's get right to it, Susie. Tell everybody how we even got on this subject. There was a story, There was a phone call, and you said...
I said, you are not going to believe what I found. You're not, and I couldn't believe what I found. So what happened is Sunday a week ago, which would have been the Sunday after Easter, the next weekend after Easter, our church that morning, we got word from the people that arrive early for different things that we had no power at the church. And so we had to call our service off. It was a transformer that had been hit, and the city had to fix what was going on, but our church had no power. So we were dressed, getting ready to walk out the door, and all of a sudden we had this free day. So I looked at my husband, I said, what do you want to do? And he said, well, let's go have breakfast. So that's so unusual, that we would get to do something like that on a Sunday. And so we went and had breakfast, and we just kind of sat there, took my knit needles and sat there and knitted, and we stayed there probably an hour after we had eaten. And so by the time we left, it was around noon. And there is an antique mall where the different vendors rent spaces in there, and it's huge. And we had never been in there, even though we've lived here for many years. And so we said, let's go in there. So we did. We ended up spending 3 hours in there. And towards the end of the 3 hours, it was easy. In fact, I was exhausted. It was like, how can there be so much stuff? It's like, and I thought about the episode we talked about how that my sister lived near a thrift store, and it was called Dead People's Things. And I thought, oh my gracious, this is a lot of dead people's things. And so it even had an upstairs. So towards the end of the 3 hours, we were on the upstairs level, and I saw this white heap of something laying on top of like a suitcase thing. It was just laying up there in one of the sections. And so I walked over to it, and I thought, oh my, that is a crocheted bedspread. So I started picking it up, and I thought, wonder how much they're charging for this. And I found the tag, and on the tag it says $35. And I thought, that can't be right. And so I had my readers on, so I was looking at it without my readers.
Like, is it 85?
Yeah, it's like it has to be 350. I'm not seeing a zero. And so I put my readers on, and I looked back at the tag, and it said $35. And there was something that happened to my heart. I thought, $35? I thought, how could they put that price on this? And then I started having all of these emotional feelings for the person that crocheted that. I thought, oh, God bless her. Her bedspread has a $35 price tag on it.
I know.
And then I thought, I don't need that. I mean, even though it was $35, so I picked it up, I looked at it, and I'm kind of dissecting it, and I thought, I really don't need this. So I put it down, but my heart is just crying. I'm just crying. In fact, let me say it this way. I was listening to a girl that does a podcast, and she's Danish, and she does a Danish and English. And so it's so funny watching her. She is precious, but when she does her English episodes, she's trying to translate her Danish ideas and thoughts into English. And one time she said, and frustrations was coming out of my ears. That's how I felt. There was frustration coming out of my ears because it's like, how could somebody put $35 on this?
Oh my gosh.
So I walked away, and I stopped. I thought, I can't leave that here. So I go back to it and I pick it up again. Yeah, so I go back and I pick it up again. I inspect it. I'm inspecting it more in detail this time. I'm looking to see if it has like big stains on it. It's like, there's got to be a reason. And it literally was in great condition. But I put it down again. I thought, oh, I don't need to add any more to my no more stuff. I don't need to do that. So I walked away, and my husband was coming to me, and I said, you are not going to believe what I just found. And he said, what? And I walked him over to it, and I picked him up. He said, is it knitted? I said, no, this is crocheted. And I said, honey, you're not believe the price tag on this. He said, what, 100, 150? And I said, no, $35. He said, $35. He said, well,
even he knew.
He said, well, you wouldn't even be able to buy the yarn. I said, oh no, you couldn't. You could not buy even the yarn for $35. In
You
fact,
couldn't buy the cotton yarn like at Hobby Lobby for $35.
No.
You know, yeah.
And so he said, are you going to get it? And I'm standing there thinking, and of course the frustration was coming out of my ears. That's it. I said, yes, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. So I took it to the register.
Oh, I gotta get my
I took it to the register, and when I got down there, I asked the girl, I said, is there anybody here that knows? I felt like there would be nobody who knew anything about it, so like no telling how long it's been there. And I said, is there anybody here that knows the backstory to this bedspread? She said, actually, I know a little bit because I'm the one that put it in here. She said, I have a friend that it belonged to her, and she was getting rid of some things, called me, knew that we had the antique mall here, and asked me would I come over and give her a price. She said, so I went over. She had some pieces of furniture. She said that bedspread was a part of the pieces that she was getting rid of. And so she said, I gave her a price for everything. I gave her a big price for everything. And she said, I don't knit or crochet. She said, so of course that was a part of the pile, and that's how it got here. She said, if I'm not mistaken, she said her daughter purchased it for her or had it made for her years ago and gifted it to her, and she had it on one. It's a queen size bedspread. She said she had it on one of her beds for literally years, and decided to do some updating, and it didn't match what she was doing, and so she just didn't want it anymore. And so that's how it got here. And so I by that time I had already bought it, and so we're talking because I didn't want to say this until after it was mine. And I said, well, you know that you cannot even buy the yarn for $35. I said, and I opened it up and I showed the squares because, let's show that, Linda. Let's show it because I put it out on my couch, and I didn't put it on my bed. I put it out on my couch. So that I could show it, and literally a row of it is behind my couch. There it is. So let me tell you a little bit about this. So you see down there in front of the bottom of the couch, there are 4 squares. So this bedspread, and they're big squares. So this bedspread is 20 of those squares. They're 4 across and 5 deep. And It's a very
Wow.
dense bedspread. In fact, I weighed it, and it weighs just over 9 pounds.
Oh!
And it's 100%
Wow.
cotton. It's 100% cotton. And
Ooh.
there's a row of those squares hanging back behind my sofa. So you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. There's another row hanging behind my sofa. So there's 20 of those squares. Now the top of the bedspread, which is behind my sofa, does not have the tassels, but the tassels line the side and then the it lines the sides and then the bottom. And I counted those tassels. There's 810 of them. 810 tassels that this lady put on that bedspread. She
Oh,
made 20 of
my
those squares,
goodness.
20 of those squares, then put those squares together, then rounded them with a border, and then hand tied 810 tassels on that bedspread. And they sold it for $35. I just want to cry.
I know.
And so thank the Lord that now the bedspread is in ownership, at least by somebody that appreciates, I mean, literally the hours upon hours upon hours. There is no telling how many hours. But Linda, if you can put up the picture that shows the square up close so they can just see the details of this. So I wanted y'all to see the one square so you can
Wow.
see what
That is
she
dense.
did. It's very dense.
Oh my gosh.
It is a very, very small thread. They are double crochets and bobbles. And it appears that first square would be the squares, but that she then added the outer part, so it's like a square in a square, which was created the one square that she made 20 of those in order to make this
That's
bedspread.
amazing. Oh
And I
my
have
gosh.
I don't know, I think I sent it to you. There's another picture that even pulls the corner of that square even closer. Let's look at that. Okay, so I wanted you to see this picture because you saw it at a distance, you saw a square, and now this is the corner of a square where that you can see these bobbles and these small double crochets.
I literally have goosebumps. This is really something.
I want to meet this lady. If she's alive, I'm going to go back to that store, and I am going. In fact, I found out that I know who owns that antique mall. That's the owner of it. And I am going to call her, and she is a crocheter and a knitter. I know she is. But she's not the one that put this in here. A girl that works there put this in there in a space that she rents. Wow. But I'm going to tell her about this, and I'm hoping to get some more detailed information about this blanket. And if so, we'll share it. But I just wanted you to see all these bobbles, all these double crochets. It is just absolutely just a beautiful work of art. And I really am I feel very blessed that I found it, and it truly is a treasure at $35.
Oh my goodness.
So you know what I'll do is I'll tell this story to Mary Catherine, you know, and if she loves it, she will, hopefully I'll get the backstory, and you know, it will now go that, you know, that I owned it and that now I pass it. But it's so wonderful to have backstories to the pieces that people do, you know.
Oh, I know.
With their hands.
It's true.
And so it truly was a treasure, and I would have never been in that antique mall if lightning had not hit a transformer and caused our church to not have power, because somebody else could have gone in there and bought it, known the value of it, and just picked it up. And it's neat how that life, different incidents that happen in life create your story. You know,
I
creates
know,
a
it's
story.
true.
You know, and
It's true.
if it had gone another way, this bedspread would have been. And I'm gonna pick it up and just kind of hold it
Oh yes,
in front of the
please do.
camera. It is tremendously heavy.
Oh
But
my
here
gosh.
it is. I mean,
Oh,
it makes me almost
wow.
want to cry that I got this. You know, it is, and the thread, I'm going to pull one piece of thread. This is the thread that it was.
Pull it away from your microphone. It's so
This,
thick. There-
oops, sorry. Here we go. Here's my microphone.
There you go. Yeah.
So here
it's not
is
even
the-
fingering. It's
Oh,
what do you
it
call
is-
that cotton? It's like thread. I
It's
think it's
lit-
actually
it's-
called thread.
It's little. I
Yeah.
just don't even know how the woman did it. There is the thread.
That's amazing.
And these tassels are 4 pieces of thread, or 8 pieces. These are 8 pieces, so it would be 4 long
oh, I
pieces
just get
that they
goosebumps.
cut.
Whew.
And she did 810 of them
I
on this
know.
bedspread. Here is the border that there
It's
are.
incredible.
It truly
incredible.
is. It is.
And,
it is
and
a
here I thought
work.
my wrap was a long work.
Oh my gracious! I'm gonna hold up one of the squares with the tassels on the side. So I'm gonna hold it up in front of my face. So here we
It's
go.
okay. It's beautiful.
Can
They
you see the
said
square?
yes, most of the time it would take 2 years to make these projects.
Oh well,
so
I'm
they would work on them.
thinking- I'm thinking 20 squares. So the question is, how long did it take to make one square? I would think that it would take at least a month in my life. If I got one square made a month, well, that's
Yeah.
20 months.
Right.
That doesn't include putting it together, bordering it, and putting 810 tassels on it. Hand cut, hand tied. It could have been a 3 to 4 year project,
Sure.
depending on the busy life or how much time
Yep.
she had to sit down. And I don't think that the mother that was given this as a gift understood the value of it. I don't
No.
think the girl that bought it
She
for her
wasn't
mother
crochet
understood.
worthy.
No, she was not. And the person that put it in that antique mall, they
Just
had
didn't
no
know.
clue what they had.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this was a treasure.
Well,
It
and
is
so
heavy.
and so when Susie called to tell me about it, I said, "Guess what? I have one too." And she didn't know that. She had no idea
Had no
because she's
idea.
she's never seen it on my bed. I haven't had it on my bed probably in 15 years, and I only would really use it in the summer because it's airy and it kind of has that
Right.
summer springy vibe. But my so I'm gonna hold it up first. This
Oh, that is beautiful.
and
That
so
is
this
beautiful.
This is my design. I actually did the Google Lens thing, and they said it's considered, well, one said pinwheel, one said flower. I'm not sure what, to be real honest. It also has all these little baubles on it, all this chaining. Oh my goodness, I just looked at that. And it looks like it's triple crochets because they're, it's pretty stacked. So the base here is the triple crocheted, and I'm pretty sure that'd be.
And where
Yeah,
did you get yours? How did you get in possession of yours?
So I'm gonna pull up a picture while I talk about it. Hold on, I'm gonna add it.
Oh, wow. That
So,
is breathtakingly beautiful.
It is
That is
so pretty.
beautiful.
My mother actually used to go to auctions, and she loved antiques. She loved history. I think that's where I get it from. And she used to buy things at auctions, and she bought this at an auction in Missouri. It came with this and a box of crochet doilies, or
Wow.
long like dresser covers, how they used to do back in
Yeah.
the 30s.
Right.
And so she actually had two of these
Oh,
and
wow.
she gave one to me and then one to my her only granddaughter at the time. But the incredible thing is, I have used it, and I've used it quite often, like I said, but I haven't just for a while now. The great thing about these is you get that nice weight of blankets without the heat. So, it just makes sleeping really cozy.
Because it's
so
cotton.
heavy. Mine is almost 8 pounds. I actually weighed it. I won't show the scale picture, but I did. I put it on the scale and it was almost 8 pounds.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's really special, and I haven't used it in a while, and I actually forgot about it, Susie, until you called me, and I love it so much.
It's so beautiful on top of a colored sheet. You're seeing, because yours has got the chains. Mine's really almost too dense to see something under it.
Yeah,
but
that's my
yours,
bedspread.
You see the beautiful color coming up under through it. That is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's really pretty. And I used to have some pillows that I had done some needlework with. Gosh, what do you call those? The little, when you make the little balls and embroidery. Anyway, and it just went really nice. I got rid of the pillows because it just wasn't my style anymore. Now, of course, I regret getting rid of them, but that's another story. But yeah, so I'm going to have to do something.
Beautiful.
But I did discover that mine it's dirty in some areas, and I did a lot of research about how to clean these things because they are can you
Linda,
imagine this wet? Can you imagine this wet?
Before we do talk about cleaning them, because that is a huge issue that I'm dealing with too, did you by any chance take a closer picture of that, a closer up picture of that bedspread
did.
That we could see? I want you to put that up because I want to talk about that. Okay. So this bedspread literally creates an illusion. When you sent this to me and I looked at it, I thought, how did they make that?
They made a bunch of doilies.
They made a bunch of doilies, but what creates the illusion is it's a circle, not a square.
Right.
And you can see where that half of the flower is where that they joined it. So it's loads of circles, and when you connect it to the other circle, it creates a beautiful flower, and it creates the illusion as if the flowers were crocheted whole, but they weren't. They were crocheted in half. And it's when you put it together, it creates the flower, and it creates an illusion. It is an absolutely gorgeous pattern.
Oh, I'm really glad that you studied it. I didn't study it like you did, and I can see it. I can see what you're saying now. But yeah, it's a bunch of kind of round doilies.
She crocheted a circle, and then the circles were put together, but they created the flowers. And it is, so now you see this, you're seeing this, you're seeing the circle. Can we go back and put the big one up? Because I want you now to see what look, it creates an illusion that you crocheted the flowers as a whole, but they're literally little circles that have been put together to create the big, beautiful flowers. It is gorgeous.
Well, and you know what I was thinking is doing something like that to make a shawl would be stunning. And you could do it in fingering, of course. It doesn't have to be, this thread, because it really is thread.
It is beautiful.
Because I have a piece of the thread right here. Here, I got to get off this. I'm going to have to remove this. Let me get this bigger. But yeah, I mean, it's thread. Just like yours. Yeah, it's thread. Just like what she would make Christmas ornaments with, which I actually have done in the past. I made little Christmas ornaments when I was much younger and much more patient. But and I was looking at that and I thought, wow, that would be...
The needle size, even the crochet hook that they use. I have a friend, and her name is Bonnie, and Bonnie is an amazing she does amazing crochet work, and she does doilies and small, and when you watch her crochet, you cannot,
Yeah, it's
her needle goes so fast, you can't even follow what
Really?
she's doing. But the needles that you can almost not see the hooks.
I
mean,
know.
There's so little.
yeah, they're very
Such
very
a
small.
work, such a beautiful work of art, and
Yeah.
we're blessed
So,
to have one.
I know, and yeah, it's I really I'm really glad you kind of brought this back to my attention because this was in a bag. I keep those quilt or those bags like you get comforters in,
Yeah.
and they're great for storing your blankets in. So never throw
Well,
them away.
and the other thing we talked about is how long it would take, and some
And
little
how much
statistics
yarn.
and how much yarn. So a twin bed could take up to 3,500 yards of yarn, depending on the size, and it could take 6 to 9 skeins. But we're talking about 100 grams. But the smaller the yarn is, 100 grams is a lot of yardage. So I mean, 100 grams of lace weight, which these threads are almost like lace weight, would be over 1,000 yards for just 100 gram ball. So when you're talking about 6 to 9, you're talking about 6 to 9,000 yards of yarn. So if you go right on up, like ours is queen, so we're talking about around 5,500 yards, or it really could be, depending on the weight, and that would be 11 to 13 skeins, because it could be up to 11,000.
That's
11 to
crazy.
13,000, and then a king, which I can't imagine anybody doing that, would be like 6,500 yards, or up to 16,000 yards, 13 to 16 skeins of yarn. And so, yeah, and you know, crochet bedspreads, they're not just cute bedroom decor. You know, when you see them on the bed, it's history. Yeah, it is history, it's heritage, and it creates tradition. And, you know, I think about my granddaughters, and Sawyer, the oldest one, is getting ready to turn 6, and you've got a 6-year-old granddaughter. I mean, they're right at the age that we can start teaching them. And you know, because you don't want to introduce it to them too soon, because they could be frustrated. But you know, if they have a desire at 6 years old, that is a good time. Anywhere between 6 and 11 years old is when usually they would teach the young girls how to knit or crochet, and so
and
it
they'd
becomes
be
a family tradition.
Well, they'd become part of the local yarn circle or the family yarn circle.
They would.
So,
they would.
yeah, that's
okay,
really
I'm
cool.
sorry I interrupted.
No.
I wanted them to see the illusion of that bedspread.
I'm really glad you noticed that. Yeah, it's really interesting.
I mean,
it's,
hey, hold it up again, Linda.
well, so the incredible thing is this is a circle. So I'm
Yeah,
going to fold
that's
it.
what
I'm
I
going
wanted
to
you
fold
to.
it. Yeah, I'm going to fold it. So the circles are really only this big from here
And they're
to
flat.
here.
They've got flat edges all the way around.
to here. And so, yeah, a bunch of little doilies. You can kind of, I wish I could, I don't want to get lipstick on it, but anyway, yeah, they're just little doilies.
And then when they're connected, they create the flower.
And then she did something special, of course, here, because and she had to do something with that corner.
Well, and that is just, let me see, hold that again.
Oh, it's just another one put onto the end.
Yeah.
It's just another, that's the
And
circle.
that, well, and the outside
here.
is the flat edge of the circle, so the flower
Yep.
doesn't continue there. So that
Yep.
right there, you can really see
Yep.
what those circles create.
So I'm going to have to go back and count how many of these.
Oh, you need to count and see how many circles she had to make.
But you know, that makes it almost more, it's kind of like the granny square thing. It makes it a little bit more manageable when you're just knitting a bunch of these, although.
Yeah, that's true.
But then you have to connect them all.
kind of like quilting. You make the little squares and then you put the big squares together to create a quilt. And weren't you telling me that you saw somewhere that people are actually making quilted squares with cloth and then they are crocheting them together? Isn't that really neat?
Isn't that crazy? But yeah, and these are single crocheted together. So she didn't sew them. She single crocheted them all together. You can kind of see it now. You probably can't see it. But anyway, the bump. But yep, it's really quite nice. A friend of mine, she's like you. She has started really solely making cotton blankets. She said anything but cotton is just too hot for around here.
Yeah.
And I thought,
it really
wow.
is.
Yeah.
Well, where we live, and we're in Alabama,
We have a couple months.
we do see all 4 seasons, and you kind of
Yeah.
do too. And so we
yeah.
have maybe about, I don't know, 8, 12 weeks where we really
Yeah.
kind of feel cold. But that's about it. The rest of the
Yeah.
year, probably about 9 months, we really feel pretty warm, and 3 months we're chilly to cold at times.
Yeah. Yep.
But you were going to talk about the cleaning of it. And
The cleaning of them, because I discovered some of mine, like this right here. Yeah, they're dirty, and I was like, ooh. And I know you had asked, and I said about just setting it out in the
because I feel
sun.
like that mine.
But that setting
needs
it
to be
out,
cleaned.
setting out in the sun would freshen it and give it freshness because the sun will clean and all that. But I don't think it'll clean. So what I did some research, and they said everything from dry cleaning it or take it to a dry cleaner's to soaking it in like borax or something that's not a soap, and then soak it for several hours, and then let the spinner, spin it out the water, but then you have to dry it. And I would personally go. I mean, I was thought it through. I would go get a tarp. I'd put a white sheet on it, and I would lay it in the sun to dry. I would not put this in a dryer. I mean, when these were made, and we didn't talk about the time period that these really were popular was in the 20s and 30s, and then some in the 40s.
And the cotton would certainly shrink if
and
heat
right
was
and
put to it.
right, they wouldn't even put it in a dryer. Everything would be line dried. So I would just line dry it, and I wouldn't take it to a dry cleaner simply because all of these chains. I actually had to repair 1 or 2. They break, they'll break. And
Yeah.
I don't want somebody else handling this. I don't trust them. I have
Yeah.
trust issues with
I-
my
I-
stuff.
Yeah, I would.
So-
I would not want to take it to a dry cleaners either. And
I'm
look,
going to use
if any of you-
Melibrite. I think I'm going to use Melibrite because Melibrite they're even using to clean pools. It's instead of
Oh,
chlorine. So I think
okay.
I would soak it in the Melibrite, then rinse it, and then put it on a tarp. But I'm going to do that
And
because I'd like to
and
use
the
it.
Soyamel would be a great freshener for it. And
Mm-hmm.
for those of you that don't know, this is a shopping club that we shop at that have a green
Yeah.
cleaning line, a wonderful green
But
cleaning line.
Melibrite's, yeah, I think Melibrite's the thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to try because I do
But
have to
tell
clean
us
it.
how, if you have one of these bedspreads, all you
Yeah, do you know how?
yarn circle out there, our yarn circle, if you have a crocheted bedspread like what we've shown today, please tell us how that you have cleaned it or how you would clean it, because
Right.
we would not want to in any way hurt or destroy these beautiful pieces of art. They are, and they are art.
They are art. They are.
They are
They're just,
art.
to me, it's worth the same as a fancy painting on the wall. So.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, and in
sure.
case you want a bedspread, they are on eBay. You can actually find them on eBay. I actually found one of the same design on eBay. It was $180. So you're
Or
$35.
Or go to an antique mall
And I have
pay
seen them.
$35.
I have seen them, and I have left them there. I've also seen them half done.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now, in retrospect, I think I would buy it, and well, if it had some of the thread with it, and just like finish it off and make it a runner or something. It'd be a beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be beautiful. I also read somewhere online that some people use these as tablecloths. Now, that I don't even really believe unless you put plastic over it, because you wouldn't want to get it dirty.
Oh,
you know?
you would have to. But I'm
So-
sure they did use them as tablecloths.
Do you
I'm
think?
sure they did. Yeah, I guarantee you they did.
Really? Wow.
Table runners, tablecloths, you know. Maybe
Yep.
they made them different sizes, of course, you know, for whatever, and probably tablecloths for like small pieces of small tables that would like sit as with lamps on them or things
Sure,
like that.
sure.
They would put them on top
Tablecloth,
of
yeah.
a tablecloth for a small table that you don't eat on. But yeah, I guarantee you they did.
Well, really, that's about it. We're not going to show anything that we are making or have made. However, we are going to show some of the crochet projects, and that's all we've actually gotten this time is crochet
which
projects.
goes along with what we've talked about.
From our Yarn Circle Spotlight. So here they are. Heather, thank you so much for not only being such a faithful member of our Yarn Circle, but for once again sharing your crochet projects. Your shawl is beautiful.
It is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
I love it.
And the other project was made by a new mother. Well, her little boy is about 2 years old, and her name is Kaylin, that like you saw. And this was her first project ever. And it was a little crochet baby blanket for her little boy,
Perfect.
Asher. And we are proud of you, Kaylin. You keep that up.
Yeah,
This is the
that's how you get to
beginning.
here.
That's how you get to there. You just keep learning. And you know what? The wonderful thing about technology that we have now, I mean, used to the only way you did learn was for a family member to teach you. In fact, Kaylin's grandmother is the one that taught her how to crochet.
Aww.
And she made her first
Nice.
little blanket for Asher, her little boy. But that used to be the only way that girls did learn. And now we have the technology of YouTube and you can just pull up anything
Oh,
there.
yeah, virtual
and
yarn
learn how-
circles.
yes, it does. And teach you
Yeah.
right there how to hold your needles and yarn
Yeah.
and the projects. And, you know, then we have online places for you to buy your patterns. And so yeah, I mean it's so much easier now than it used to. So you don't quit, keep going, Kaylin. It's
For
beautiful.
sure.
And we're so proud of your interest, and your first project is beautiful, and thanks
It's
for sharing.
exciting.
Thanks for being with us today. I know that the episode was just a little bit different, but we had so much fun being with you, and we will see you in a few weeks, and happy knitting and crocheting.
All right, see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.